This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting of the Council of Ministers which was devoted to the examination of a draft law on insurance and the study of reports from various sectors. Algeria, along with 15 other countries from Africa, Europe, Asia and Latin America, have launched a statement of common commitments of UNRWA with a view to giving a new impetus to the funding of the UN agency. The International Court of Justice, the highest court of the United Nations, has announced that it will rule tomorrow Friday on a request from South Africa to order the Zionist entity a ceasefire in Gaza. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Slimani. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, has chaired a meeting of the Council of Ministers which was devoted to the examination of a draft law on insurance and the study of reports from various sectors. Under the chairmanship of the President of the Republic, the Council of Ministers examined a draft law on insurance companies and the study of reports, particularly on the financing of startups, the monitoring of the progress of projects of the mining railways, the state of progress of the project to build grain shortage silos, preparations for the summer season, and arrangements for welcoming our diaspora. At the end of the meeting, the President of the Republic ordered to postpone the draft law on insurance in order to re-examine it for a more precise organization. The President of the Republic gave instructions to permanently and periodically monitor the activity of insurance companies and to give more importance to services rather than fundraising by easy methods, as well as to broaden the insurance sectors to include other specialties. In other matters, the President of the Republic ordered the rigorous application of the law against any illegal exploitation of the beaches, as well as the absolute respect of the principle of free beaches along the Algerian coastline. In this context, the President of the Republic gave instructions to set up a national commission to facilitate investment in new tourist facilities, especially in coastal regions lacking tourist infrastructures. President Tebboune also ordered a review of prices to make them affordable for Algerian families in order to promote domestic tourism. Now, the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army General Said Chingri has started a working visit to the 2nd Military Region in Oran as part of the implementation of the Combat Readiness Program for the 2023-2024 training year, and as an extension of the inspection visits to the military regions, the Minister of National Defense said in a statement. Said Bougazi reports.
During his meeting with the managers and staff of the 2nd Military Region, Army General Said Chingriha gave an orientation speech broadcast via video conference to all the units in the region, in which he underlined that the right to live in peace and security necessarily implies taking care to build a dissuasive defense force that guarantees and preserves this right.
All people, without exception, have the right to live in peace and aspire to security and tranquility. This is a right guaranteed by all human laws. And countries around the world are working to uphold this right by building a deterrent defense force. And a right that is not backed up by force is nothing more than a mirage and an unrealistic objective. In this sense, we are working within the INP under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Supreme Head of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, to give Algeria the power to preserve the right of its people to live in dignity, independence and sovereignty.
The Army General underlined that the ANP is implementing a global approach aimed at continuously increasing the combat capabilities of the battle corps and strengthening our country's defense apparatus by making available all the necessary human and material resources.
To achieve this noble objective, we have implemented a comprehensive approach aimed at continuously increasing the combat capabilities of our battle corps. and strengthening our defense apparatus by training personnel and preparing units for combat, as well as qualifying human potential by providing them with the conditions and resources to enable them to achieve excellence. Indeed, we are firmly convinced that qualified human resources who have mastered the weapons at their disposal and who carry out their assigned missions to the best of their ability are the cornerstone of any development process and the solid foundation on which we rely enormously to realize our ambition of building a powerful and imposing army.
At the end of the meeting, the region's personnel were given the floor to express their concerns, and on this occasion they showed their full readiness to fully assume their noble missions at the service of Algeria.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, has held telephone talks with his counterparts from Uganda, Congo and Namibia. The minister revealed with his interlocutors the levels reached by bilateral relations in their various aspects and dimensions and exchanged analysis concerning developments in the situation at continental level, notably the preparations for the important ministerial meeting to be hosted by Algeria in June on the reform of the Security Council. The Sonatrach Petroleum Group today signed here in Algiers a memorandum of understanding with the American company ExxonMobil on the joint development of hydrocarbon resources in Algeria. The memorandum of understanding will enable the partners to study existing opportunities to develop hydrocarbon resources in the Ahnet and Gurara basins with the focus on operational excellence, technological innovation, respect for the environment and best sustainability practices. In a speech delivered on the signing ceremony, the Director General of the Sonatrach Group, Mr. Hashishi Rashid, said the following.
As we are about to sign this historic head of agreement with our partner ExxonMobil of the development of mutually beneficial cooperation along the whole value chain of hydrocarbons industry in Algeria, especially in the field of exploration and production, we believe today that we are taking a major step in terms of developing and valuing our energy resources and enabling our country to move to a new phase of sustainability of development. This agreement is not only an expression of the common willingness to develop a serious and exceptional partnership, but it expresses also a practical embodiment of common vision between Sonatrach and ExxonMobil, which enables both parties to consider the means to develop the talent, capacities and enormous potential of energy resources in Algeria.
For his part, the Vice President of Global Exploration at ExxonMobil, John Ardell, said that the American company is ready to turn their commitments into a fruitful partnership for the benefit of Algeria's economic development.
Please allow me to say that it would be a privilege for ExxonMobil to be able to bring its experience and technology to be able to unlock further development of Algeria's hydrocarbon industry, and to do that together with Sonatrach. There's much to look forward to, and still there is much work ahead of us. But I know I can speak for my team when I say we are ready and we are excited to work with all of you in the coming months to advance our discussions to the next stage and ultimately transform these engagements into a fruitful partnership between ExxonMobil and Sonatrach for the purpose of economic development for the people of Algeria.
The event was covered by our reporter Wasila Bouabid. Algeria, along with 15 other countries from Africa, Europe, Asia and Latin America, have launched a statement of common commitments of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, with a view to giving a new impetus to the funding of the UN agency. This declaration of joint commitments aims to reaffirm the central and crucial role of UNRWA in the face of unjust and systematic attempts by the occupation authorities to undermine its efforts at a time when the population of the Gaza Strip is in greater need of humanitarian aid than ever before. More details with Said Bouhazi.
In addition to Algeria, the declaration was joined by Jordan, Kuwait, Slovenia, Belgium, Brazil, Guyana, Indonesia, Ireland, Luxembourg, Norway, Portugal, Qatar, South Africa, Spain, and the State of Palestine. It recognizes the essential and indispensable role played by the agency in its 75 years of existence and action on behalf of Palestinian refugees, as well as its contribution to regional stability. The document emphasizes support for UNRWA to enable it to carry out its mandate effectively in all these areas of operation. The statement of commitment, which remains open to other countries, stresses that UNRWA is the mainstay of the humanitarian response in Gaza and that no other organization can replace it as effectively. The document also expresses its deep appreciation to the Secretary General of the United Nations and the Commissioner General of UNRWA for their dedication to the agency's mandate and mission in accordance with the relevant United Nations resolutions and humanitarian principles, including the principle of neutrality. This initiative highly values the work of UNRWA staff in all segments of its activity and confirms its role as a pillar of regional stability and a humanitarian lifeline for millions of Palestinian refugees, including children and women, recognizing in this regard the grave humanitarian, political, and security risks that could result from any interruption or suspension of its vital work. Finally, the document highlights concerns about the agency's extremely critical financial situation and acknowledges the efforts of donors and host countries to address the financial crisis it is facing, as well as the importance of providing adequate and sustainable financial support to UNRWA. This declaration is a clear global response to the genocidal policies of the Zionist occupation authorities, including the Zionist Prime Minister and Defense Minister, against whom the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants, who have killed, starved, and besieged Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, and also orchestrated a smear campaign against the only agency able to provide humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, with the aim of depriving the agency of the financial aid enabling it to help the population in the Palestinian enclave. It is clear that the main objective of the occupiers' successive attacks on UNRWA is to liquidate the issue of refugees and the right of return, which haunts the occupation authorities.
In a joint statement to the media, the permanent representative of Jordan to the United Nations, Mahmoud Daifallah Hamoud, told reporters about the shared commitments on UNRWA.
Shared commitments will address several aspects, from UNRWA's role in Gaza and for regional stability to its financial crisis, questions relating to the principles of neutrality, recognition of the tireless efforts of UNRWA's staff, the importance of cooperation with the agency, and other aspects. We hope the initiative will garner strong support. We seize this opportunity to reaffirm in these difficult, challenging, and tragic circumstances our firm commitment to the just resolution of the question of Palestine, including on the Palestinian refugees, and the achievement of just, comprehensive, and lasting peace in the region, consistent with UN resolutions and international law, and the realization of the two-state solution based on the pre-1967 lines.
For his part, the permanent observer of the State of Palestine to the United Nations, Riyad Mansour, has expressed hope that other countries would join the commitment.
The indispensable role UNRWA has played and continue to play is only possible with the international community's support for its General Assembly mandate. And we are grateful that the support has been overwhelming and with cross-regional backing. And of course, with the generosity of donor countries supporting UNRWA education, health, relief, social and emergency services. We welcome the launch of these shared commitments and hope that many other states will join and affirm these commitments in support of UNRWA.
Mr. Mansour also called on the international community to further support UNRWA in assisting the Palestinian people now under a barbaric aggression by the Israeli occupation.
UNRWA does not only need financial support, but it needs political support, and this effort is a significant step in having this political support for UNRWA on the basis of its mandate as we see it in the General Assembly. We urge action to uphold UNRWA's mandate in all fields of operation in Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, and in Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, to enable continued delivery of its core services and life-saving aid that have for decades contributed to the welfare and development of Palestine refugees, while also giving them a measure of dignity and hope in the midst of so much despair.
Let's recall that the statements on shared commitments on UNRWA were made on behalf of Algeria along with 15 other countries from Africa, Europe, Asia and Latin America. Now, after a 4-day siege, the Israeli occupation troops stormed Al Adwa hospital in Jabalia, northern Gaza, early today and forced medical crews to leave it towards western Gaza City after detaining one of them. The same sources, or according to medical sources, it said that 14 hospital employees, 11 injured people and companions remain in the hospital, noting that they refused to leave unless ambulances were present to evacuate the wounded. A Palestinian youth died today of the wounds sustained from Zionist gunfire during the ongoing occupation army assault on the northern West Bank city of Jenin and its refugee camp, with the killing of Mustafa Ibrahim Musa Jabarin, 30 from the Jenin camp. The death toll in the city of Jenin and its camp since the beginning of the wanton Zionist aggression last Tuesday morning has risen to 12, including 4 children, a teacher and a doctor. More details in this report.
On Tuesday, the occupation forces shot and killed 7 Palestinians, including a doctor, a teacher and 2 youths, and injured 19 others, including a journalist who was shot after the soldiers opened fire on a group of journalists covering the assault. Yesterday, 18-year-old Sami Amin Ahmed Al-Qaisi, a resident of Jenin, died of the wounds he suffered as a result of being shot by Israeli army gunfire in the course of the assault. Meanwhile, 16-year-old Mahmoud Fares Qraini also succumbed to his wounds sustained from occupation army gunfire, as confirmed by the health ministry. Among the fatalities was 51-year-old Usaid Kamal Jabbarin, the head of the surgery department at Jenin Governmental Hospital, who was killed in the vicinity of the hospital, and Allam Jaradat, a 48-year-old school teacher, who was shot and killed while in his vehicle on his way to work. 2 youths, Mahmoud Amjad Hamdani, 15, and Usama Muhammad Naim Hujair, 16, were also shot and killed. The other slain Palestinians are Muammar Muhammad Abu Umaira, 50, Amir Usam Abu Umaira, 22, Bassam Mahmoud Turkman, 53, in addition to Jihad Muhammad Talib, 38. With the killing of the 12 Palestinian civilians, the death toll in the West Bank since October 7th rises to 517.
As you followed in our top stories, the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, the highest court of the United Nations, has announced that it will rule tomorrow Friday on a request from South Africa to order the Israeli occupation a ceasefire in Gaza. Pretoria wants the court to order the Zionist entity to cease all military operations in Gaza, including Rafah, where they launched a military ground offensive on May 7th, despite the opposition of the international community. In other news, the Moroccan academic Mohamed El-Batiwi has revealed that no fewer than 4,000 Moroccan soldiers are taking part in the massacres of Palestinian civilians in Gaza. He explains that the normalization agreement between Rabat and Tel Aviv includes a military cooperation clause which obliges the Makhzen to deploy troops alongside the Israeli army acting under its commander. Now, thousands have marched in Iran for the final day of funeral rites for President Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash earlier this week. Algeria is represented by the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, who was entrusted by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to attend the funeral of late Ibrahim Raisi. This is Radio Algeria International. Thank you so much for listening.
the international event of the week.